Game of Thrones. Did the books or TV series do it better? Let's break it down and decide which version truly outshines. To kick things off, we will be looking at the differences in some of the main characters of the series. Let's talk about my favorite Jaime Lannister first, the Kingslayer. In the books, he is 31, whereas on screen, Jaime is 36. He is described as tall and handsome with long curly blonde hair and emerald green eyes in the books, whereas in the series, he has darker hair and brown eyes thanks to Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, the actor who portrays him. I also want to highlight the fan favorite Lannister, Tyrion. He is arguably the most compassionate character in the entire series. Peter Dinklage, who brings him to life, is undeniably handsome, but within the novels, Tyrion is described as having a deformed, almost monstrous appearance. Fans are drawn to him because, despite his flaws, he is one of the most morally upright characters in the series. However, in the books, he's a bit more complex. There, he's referred to as half a man and is willing to send characters to their deaths with very little remorse. Now, we can't overlook the Stark family. One of my personal favorites is Arya Stark. In the books, she is just 9 years old. However, the character portrayed by Maisie Williams in the series is 11. In the books, Arya is called a horse face because of her long, skinny face, but on screen, she has a much more charming, doll-like, round face. Now, let's talk about everyone's favorite, Jon Snow, the one who knows nothing. In the books, he's only about 16 years old, but in the series, he's aged up to his early 20s. On the show, Jon is often described as pretty, a detail which is not mentioned in the books. The series also portrays him as action-driven, sometimes acting without much thought, whereas in the books, he's much more deliberate and strategic, carefully planning out his every move. We also need to discuss the mother of dragons, Daenerys Targaryen, or Dany as her fans call her. While Emilia Clarke portrays her in the series, her appearance differs slightly from the book's description. In the books, Daenerys begins as a 13-year-old girl, whereas on screen she is thankfully aged up to her 20s. The books describe her as tall to skinny with long silver hair and violet eyes. On the show, Emilia is much smaller in stature with blonde hair and blue eyes. Now, let's talk about the biggest story changes between the books and the series adaptation. First, it's worth noting that in the books, the White Walkers are actually referred to as the Others. In George R.R. Martin's world, the Others don't have a clear leader. However, in the series, the Night King is introduced as their leader. In contrast, the Night's King in the books is a legendary figure from the Age of Heroes, long before the events of the show. While the White Walkers' leader in the series is also portrayed as a legendary figure, it's for a completely different reason. He is universally feared, particularly by the Night's Watch. In the books, Catelyn Stark's story takes a far darker turn after her death at the Red Wedding. Following her tragic murder, she is brought back to life by Beric Dondarrion and transforms into the vengeful Lady Stoneheart. As Lady Stoneheart, she takes control of the Brotherhood without banners, relentlessly hunting down those connected to the Lannisters. However, this character arc is completely absent from the TV series, for reasons unknown. Another major difference is that the books show Sansa Stark as being nowhere near Winterfell. She hasn't met up with her brother Jon Snow and was never even married to Ramsay. Instead, her old friend Jane Poole is the one sent up north to marry Ramsay. Meanwhile, Sansa is chilling out in the Eyrie with Lord Baelish, aka Littlefinger. The showrunners basically switched these storylines for the series. In the books, Dany's dragons never get captured, and she doesn't just simply girl boss her way to Dracarys. Instead, she visits the House of the Undying, searching for knowledge. While the books and the show both feature Dany having visions, the book presents a wider range of imagery that foreshadows key events, like the Red Wedding and the death of her brother Rhaegar. One of the most significant visions involves a blue flower growing from the ice, which fans have interpreted to be a symbol of Jon Snow's Targaryen heritage and their fated connection in the Song of Ice and Fire. Even as Dany matures and grows tougher, the book version of her maintains an inherent kindness, which the series doesn't necessarily explore. Another major difference is the entire Dorne plotline. While the series brought Pedro Pascal's portrayal of Oberyn Martell to life almost flawlessly, it failed to fully capture Dorne's significance and motivations within the larger story. For one, the showrunners cut the character of Aerion Martell, the intelligent and politically astute daughter of Prince Doran and the heir to Dorne. The books showcase Aerion's schemes to place Marcella Baratheon on the Iron Throne, using her beauty as a tool, which the series fails to do. The Sand Snakes, Oberyn Martell's illegitimate daughters, and Doran's nieces are depicted as fierce and strategic warriors in the books, unlike the more one-dimensional versions seen in the show. Meanwhile, Ilaria Sand calls for an end to the cycle of revenge after Oberyn's death, but her pleas are ignored as Doran's long-term plans for vengeance, both for his sister Alia and Oberyn, take priority. Now, let's talk about what the show gets right and where it kind of misses the mark. One of the greatest strengths of Game of Thrones is its ability to bring the world of Westeros to life in a way that Martin's books only suggest. With breathtaking filming locations across Iceland, Croatia, and parts of Ireland, along with the exceptional work of the special effects and production design teams, the show beautifully brings to life the diverse lands described in the books and brings them into a vivid reality. Another key strength of the show was its focus on the thematic elements of the plot, prioritizing them above all else. Each episode is tightly centered around specific themes, allowing the showrunners to turn what could have been a chaotic and disjointed world into a cohesive story, at least in the first half of the series. Episodes like the iconic The Climb and the Battle of Bastards bring together characters and themes like ambition and war in ways that the book never quite achieved. A third strength of the show is how it narrows in on key characters, giving its Emmy-winning cast the opportunity to fully showcase their acting range. Take Cersei Lannister, for example. In the books, she is selfish and paranoid, and her point of view chapter in A Feast of Crows delves into her trauma, her fear of prophecy, and her deep-seated insecurity. On screen, Lena Headey adds incredible depth, portraying Cersei's inner turmoil, desperation, and her vulnerability perfectly. While she remains a tyrant, Headey's portrayal adds layers of humanity, including a relatable love for wine that sometimes the book may miss out on. However, as much as Game of Thrones had its strengths, the show also faced some significant weaknesses, many of which were more apparent as it went on. One major weakness of the series was its significant departure from the books. While early seasons stayed true to the novels, the later seasons surpassed Martin's work, and many fans thought the storytelling quality declined. Without the books as a guide, the pacing and complexity of the plot suffered, leading to narrative inconsistencies. A prime example of this is Daenerys' character development. Her rapid shift from a liberator to a tyrant in the final episodes divided fans. While some aspects were foreshadowed, many felt that the transformation was rushed and inconsistent with her earlier characterization. Additionally, one of the biggest weaknesses was the rushed pacing in the later seasons. The final 2 seasons crammed too much of the story into too few episodes. While the earlier seasons took time to build the tension and to fully develop the main characters, the later seasons moved at such a rapid pace that it resulted in abrupt resolutions, and it felt unearned. A prime example of this is Jon Snow's role in, spoiler alert, killing Daenerys and returning to the Night's Watch in the last season. Many fans felt like this pacing undermined the character's arc by the end, and I have to say, I agree. Another weakness of the show is its treatment of female characters, especially in comparison to the books. While the books are rich in detail and backstories, the series often cut or altered crucial elements in favor of action sequences and spectacle. Take Daenerys as an example again. Though she always had a darker side beneath her noble exterior, she remained a clear protagonist through much of the show, particularly in Season 8. However, her decision to burn innocent people alive felt sudden and out of character. Her fragile ego, thirst for power, and Targaryen heritage obviously played a role in that, but they didn't fully justify the immense destruction that she caused, leaving many viewers questioning her actions. Alright, so which one wins, the books or the TV series? For me, the books win. They expand the story and the world of Westeros, they deepen the characters and add so much more emotional depth and representation. But what do you think? Do you think the adaptations did the book justice? Or do you prefer the original? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and I will be seeing you next time right here on Collider.